Bharat Madan, Whole-Time Director and Chief Financial Officer at Escorts joins in. Mr. Madan, welcome to the show. A welcome move by the industry as well. GST coming down to a 5% from a 12%. What are the benefits that you are seeing from an industry perspective?
Well, obviously, this has been one of the industry demand, and I'm sure this entire benefit it will get passed on to the farmers, and we'll see some positive impact on the demand side. So I think this is going to be beneficial and win-win for everyone.
Right. With a win-win for everyone, okay, how do you see the translation happening? Would it mean immediate price cuts that could be on the anvil? Taking into consideration you have the festive season also on the cards, or would it be a slow pass-through? What's the translation looking like?
So I think government has already announced from 22nd September the changes will come into effect. So I think from the company's perspective also, that is the date when we intend to pass on the benefit. Obviously, in the interim period, we need to ramp up our ERP systems, IT systems, and also see what is the impact coming on the changes in the input prices too. And that obviously will take some time to really decide. But yes, as you mentioned, this is coming in the peak of the festive season. So this will definitely have some impact in the transition period on the demand, because there will be some ITC accumulation with the dealers' inventory, which will be there, and there will be some concern on that. But I think generally from industry perspective, we think it's a positive move, and this, in the long run, it's going to improve the demand for the farmers.
And Mr. Madan, interestingly, you did mention about the concern with regards to inventory that will be lying with the dealers in the current GST structure. What is the way to deal with that aspect, and who takes the hit?
So it's not going to be a hit on the P&L. It's basically going to be more like working capital issues with the dealers. So it will be accumulation which they'll have to carry for a slightly longer time before they're able to fully utilize that accumulation. So this is going to be a slow process for them, because there's no refund provision as we see, which has been earmarked for such transition phases. So definitely it'll have some costs on the cash flow side for the dealers, which we'll have to see how the companies really take care of that.
Mr. Madan, good morning, Neeraj here. Good talking to you after a while on the cam. The simple question is, because there is some bit of, the simple question is the demand, to your mind, because you've seen so many cycles, elastic enough for this to cause a material beta in or alpha in demand? Or is this just something that will be margin accretive and at the margin slight demand positive?
I think, as you know, in the last few months, the rural market has been doing well. The industry has been growing. In last month, we've seen almost 27-28% growth happening both on the wholesale as well as on the retail side. I think this has come at the right time. I would say this will only push the demand further. Now, how much daily demand generates additional, I think is anybody's guess. But I think 40 to 60,000 rupees impact on a per tractor basis is significant as far as we see that. Yeah. So this definitely will have a positive move, and the sentiment should improve significantly from here.
Mr. Madan, I'm sorry if you don't want to answer this, but I think if anybody is placed well enough to even guesstimate what that number could be, I heard you say that it's anybody's guess, but because you've seen so many of these cycles, what could the potential uptick in demand be, if at all? If I had to ask you to take a guess.
So like as mentioned, I think it's too difficult to guess, because in any case, we had anticipated the industry for this year will grow in a mid-single digit sort of numbers. It'll anywhere between 4 to 7% was the initial estimate for the industry. Now, post this rate cut, maybe it'll have some positive momentum. Maybe you can also hit double digit, on a full year basis.
Quick question in terms of the correction of the inverted duty structure as well, because you have faced issues earlier when it comes to accumulated input tax credit on the back of this. Now that it gets reversed, it does improve your cash flow, reduces the burden of unutilized ITC. How big a benefit would this be from a cash flow and a balance sheet perspective?
So I think the broad numbers would be seen, because most of the tractor parts which were earlier under 18% tax rate have now been reduced to 5%, and they are almost constitute about 70-75% of the parts. And the balance part, which was essentially auto parts, were under 28% bucket, which have been reduced now to 18%. So definitely this will have a lower impact on the input tax side, but at the same time, since the output tax is also reduced, so it looks like we'll still be under inverted duty structure, even though the incidence of inversion will probably come down significantly from where it was to this post-credit reduction. So maybe 60-70% reduction will happen in the inverted, structure from our perspective. That will only help the working capital, as you mentioned, to the industry.
Safe investors के लिए.
To the industry.
Mr. Madan, just wanted to get your sense on a sort of a broader picture. Yes, GST cuts will spur demand, but that is if the inherent demand is also there. That is also important. Are you seeing that basic demand there and growing in your space for tractors, for other parts, in terms of appetite? Because only then a GST cut can fuel it further.
So like I mentioned, it's very difficult to segregate because the rural sentiments for any case positive. It's a very good monsoon you're seeing now. So we're seeing the agriculture sector was growing. Tractor industry has grown so far in the first few months. And this growth probably would have continued. Now this will only help the growth further. Now how much growth really comes because of the GST changes is very difficult to, guesstimate at this point in time. So I think we have to wait and watch and see how next few months go and how the transition happens immediately.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madan, for speaking with us. I mean, what a morning it has been, guys. Since this morning, we've got two cement voices. We've spoken to Escorts.